Hello, everyone. You know what time it is. Time for Healthy Living with Kathy B on Source Radio Network. And we've already called into the show. Let me turn up the volume and let's go live now.
Good evening, Source Nation. Good evening and welcome to Healthy Living. I am your host, Kathy B. We have about 35 minutes before we leave the live feed. Telephone number to reach us is 619-924-0933. Again, 619-924-0933. Well, I am so excited because we are now going into our second week of this wonderful 10-week series with Dr. Julissa Hernandez. You know, last week we had a great subject where we talked about the kidneys. And this particular subject this week is going to be in reference to the unification of the mind and body of the couple during sex. Now, what I want to share with you, Source Nation, real quick, just to give you some information about what it is that we're doing, just in case you did not get to join us on last week. But Dr. Julissa has written an amazing book, which is the naturopathic approach to fertility. And of course, we don't want to leave out the reproductive system because some of us may not be at the fertility stage or we're past the fertility stage, but we still have areas of our mind, soul, and body that we want to connect with our partner. So she and I have decided to come up with this amazing 10-week series where we're going to tackle some great information in regards to sex. That's right. So tonight's topic, again, is all about the unification of the mind and body. And we're going to jump right on into our topic for tonight. Dr. Julissa, hello and welcome to Healthy Living. How are you?
I'm feeling divine, Kathy. I'm feeling so happy that we're doing this series that a lot of people have kind of been asking for. And I love talking about taboo stuff with you. I'm feeling great about this. How about you?
I am excited. I'm excited. You know, last week we kicked it off when we spoke about the kidneys, and then, of course, tonight is all about unification and really just to break it down to Source Nation. How are we truly connecting with our loved one, with our partner during intimacy? So some of the things that we need to do. So I know that we're going to have a good time tonight and talking and discussing of those matters. But if you will, Dr. Julissa, you take a moment just to introduce yourself to all of the Source Nation family and everyone listening in tonight. That will be great.
Hello, Source Radio family. Thank you so much, Kathy. Hello, Facebook family as well. I'm Dr. Julissa Hernandez, naturopathic doctor, practicing now for over 22 years at your service, and a television personality, radio personality, international speaker of natural medicine and teacher of natural medicine, holistic medicine, and Chinese medicine, and am absolutely honored to be a part of this wonderful platform and family here with you, Source Radio, and with you, Kathy. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Julissa. And again, Source Nation, I tell you, this is going to be an excellent topic on tonight and definitely for the next 10 weeks because we are taking the opportunity to take a look at some of the important topics discussed again in Dr. Julissa's new book, which is the naturopathic approach to fertility. But we wanted to also include the reproductive system and how healthy we need to continue to take care of our minds, our bodies, and our soul. And, of course, tonight's conversation is all about sex. So, Dr. Julissa, I've had the opportunity to take a look at some information in reference to tonight's topic, which is number 2. And, again, it is the unification of the mind and body of the couple during sex. Mm-hmm. Now, on this particular website, of course, Source Nation, anything that we source either from Dr. Julissa's book or what I find in my reading material, we'll definitely be able to put that information out on Facebook. That way you can go and take a look at it at your leisure. But I had the opportunity, Dr. Julissa, to take a look at a particular article which is entitled How Love Works on How Stuff Works, which is a medical site. And they talked about chemical bonding, and I felt like that this was in close relation to our topic tonight. So what I want to do is just take a moment and just read to you a little bit about the chemical bonding, and that way you can share with Source Nation and everyone listening in reference to what you are stating here in the book. But they stated chemical bonding is a romantic love when two people have sex, which is oxytocin, which is released, which helps bond the relationship. According to researchers at the University of California, San Francisco, they state that this is a hormone that is released, and it has been shown to be associated with the ability to maintain healthy interpersonal relationships and healthy psychological boundaries with other people. Now, when it is released during orgasm, it begins creating an emotional bond. Now, the more sex, the greater the bond becomes. It is also associated with mother and infant bonding, uterine contractions during labor and childbirth, and the letdown reflex necessary when it comes to breastfeeding. So let's talk about that and find out if that is in close proximity of what you were stating here in your book, where you mentioned unification of the mind, body of the couple during sex. How does chemical bonding actually work pertaining to sex?
Wonderful, wonderful question and excellent information that supports exactly what I'm stating here with regards of those 10 important principles from the prescriptions of life preservation and Chinese medicine. Now, every time that one shares an intimate moment with another human being, energy is transferred, and of course, hormones just start becoming running amok. In other words, inside of our bodies. I need you to think of that, for example, as a maraca being shaken, and then everything then becomes settled. So things are stirred within the body, and there actually is what has been found, as you just read there, a certain release of certain chemicals, oxytocin and so on and so forth. And of course, in the man, the more testosterone, the woman, the more estrogen, progesterone, and we have all of those hormones, and all of these secretions just start happening when we're in the moment of bonding. So when it comes to, for example, what I share within my book, I may find couples that may be on the same wavelength as far as what they both desire in their heart and mentally with regards to, yes, okay, we both are sure that we definitely, for example, let's say want to have a child, or we want to bond and become closer. But if there's not a lot of that interchange in intimacy, then the bond between them doesn't grow as close. That's why they say that sometimes after a certain number of years of a relationship, that things start to drift, they say, because let's say the intimacy starts to wane. And that is very important, something to really, truly take into consideration.
Okay, yeah. I love that. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you wrote, and I find it to be very interesting. And I want to, if you don't mind, Dr. Julissa, just to read a little excerpt from this particular point that you made.
Sure.
And it states, you stated, if I see there is not true closeness between two partners, although they have agreed to have a child together, my hope is that they become closer as they begin the process of achieving pregnancy. How can a couple strengthen this unification? Practice looking into each other's eyes without speaking no words, no gestures. Set aside silent time, just stare in each other's windows into the soul in hopes of reaching and feeling what your partner feels, breaking down the wall between you. Now, this may become very emotional for one or both parties. It may include tears, even sobbing. If this occurs, I don't know of anyone who wouldn't reach out and comfort their partner with a loving, sensual embrace. This is needed. A couple must get back to the feeling that they first felt for each other when they fell in love. This remembrance of closeness can help facilitate fertility. I find that to be very, very important. And I also find it to be important, Dr. Julissa, just not in fertility, but in relationships alone. Of course, you know, I often talk about personal matters, either dealing with myself or maybe someone that I know that have shared a particular story with me. And I want to share something with you, if I may, in regards to this. I have a very close friend of mine. She tried to get pregnant. And unfortunately, in the process, before God blessed she and her husband with children, she had 5 miscarriages.
Oh, my.
And she said during that time that they were trying to conceive, the marriage was very rocky. Her husband had a job that kept him on the road a lot. And, of course, when she wanted him home, he wasn't. And, of course, technology then wasn't as great as it is now, to where you could possibly do FaceTime or maybe do Facebook Live privately or what have you. That just wasn't there. And I shared with her, because she actually read your book, and some of the things that she read, she, of course, took notes on. And this was a particular area where it caught her eye. And she wanted to find out, she said, for me to ask, based on the fact that she was having trouble in the beginning conceiving, could it have very well been that she was angry with the fact that her husband wasn't at home? They really didn't have quality time spent. And when he was home, she wanted to allow him to do the things that he loved. If he wanted to go and, play golf with his father and his friends, she said that she would allow him to do that. Or he was an avid gardener. He loved to garden. So if the weather permitted, he was out in the garden a lot. So she gave him that free time. And I said to her, I said, well, I would have thought once he got home and off the road, the time that you have been longing for would have been spent. So what are your thoughts about that, Dr. Julissa? Could it have been very well she had an emotional block to where they weren't able to concentrate on having or conceiving a child at that point in time, and that's probably the reason why she ended up with miscarriages, maybe?
That is a wonderful perception and way of looking at this situation, and yes, you are absolutely right. Subconsciously within her, what I feel as I hear this story, what I feel as I hear this journey of what they went through during that time, is that she probably felt that if she did conceive, she'd be alone. She wouldn't have him by her side. His job took him away much. And so her body could have listened to whatever she was thinking or feeling emotionally, thinking in her subconscious. And I've shared many times how what our emotions show, what our the emotions we're holding on to, whether they be negative or positive, and whatever is truly going on in the subconscious acts as roots to what our bodies then listen to on the physical realm, see? And so it could have most definitely been that her body was just saying, this is not a viable time. This is not meant to be at the moment. And that when maybe he was then now home, that she felt she wasn't alone, that she felt that she had his support there, that he was with her, by her side, and she could actually envision a family, a child being raised by 2 parents in the home. That's probably then when her subconscious then body listened to what was going on in the subconscious, that more peace and calm state of mind of knowing that, yes, maybe this can happen now. Now this does seem like the right time. Then she conceived. And so that's why I touch upon this so deeply and had to state these types of issues within my book, because again, even though they may have that understanding that yes, we both love each other, yes, we do want to bring a child into this world and bring our love forth in that way, if there's no true closeness, know that that has to be transmitted to this baby. I want pure love, pure joy in that time of that conception to happen. And so these steps that I share, where they take a moment to sit down, look into each other's eyes and bring that closeness. How many times, Kathy, haven't I had couples come to my office, and both of them are facing me. It's interview style, so I'm behind my desk. Their two chairs are in front of me, in front of my desk. And as one may be talking and the other may be talking and sharing something, the other doesn't even look at them. Okay, one of the partners may not even turn their head, see what I mean, to face them. Or if I'm now, for example, with that couple in the office, touching upon, let's say, an aspect of what I also detail within my book in the chapter of emotions. Let's say I'm dealing with unresolved forgiveness challenges, and I've shared many stories also within my book of patients dealing with emotional aspects as such. And if in that office with that couple, whether it be because we're trying to conceive a child or we're just trying to help them with some sexual difficulty, because I obviously have couples come in with that challenge as well, then when one is expressing themselves and having to state maybe that they need to forgive, that they need to let go of some resentment, I'll notice that sometimes they don't even look at each other. And I'll have to say, you may feel better if you look into each other's eyes, if you look into each other's face and are able to express that. And yes, as I stated here also many times, tears begin and emotions begin to whirl within the room, and things come out that they never thought would. And so, yes, we get that deep into the conversation.
Yeah. And I find that to be something that is very much needed, because just as you said, and just as my friend experienced, sometimes that could be just an emotional block where they may be fearful. There were many conversations that she and I had once she found out that she was pregnant. She was fearful that she may lose the baby early on in the pregnancy. And I told her, I said, God has blessed you. God has blessed you to be a mother. He finds that this is your season, this is your time. And you shouldn't be fearful, especially if it's something that God has said that you're ready for. So let's talk about that, because I find that it's very serious when someone has that emotional block and they're not able to move beyond that. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, that's where, for example, I may have to discuss with a patient challenges of underlying fear. And if very much within my book, in that chapter that I discussed, for example, on emotions, I do discuss, for example, how fear is the negative emotion that really truly takes the life out of our kidneys, and how the kidneys is what Chinese medicine teaches us is the root of where the loins lie. That was our topic of conversation last week. And so that underlying fear is something that is detrimental to just the reproductive system in general. Let's say we're just talking about couples that want to have a healthy sexual experience, healthy reproductive systems. Know that that fear can actually cause a hindrance, can actually cause challenges. And so, yes, that's something that has to be helped, has to be overcome, whether it's with talking, whether if it's underlying fear and unresolved forgiveness, which are both what we know from holistic medicine as well, is something that challenges the kidneys. And so that has to be overcome, whether it's writing a letter to your partner. And I state various ways of how they can overcome those sorts of challenges. But yes, our emotions are very much something that can affect that. And it's incredibly important to bring intimacy back into a couple's life if they want to grow together and truly become closer and more bonded as they grow in a relationship.
Great information. Great information. Now let's talk about the unification of the mind. I find this to be very interesting also, because when the sex it's a beautiful thing, but it's big too in a relationship, especially a new relationship, and this is an area that we've discussed. I like knowing about the past, the past partners. And I don't know if that is needed in a new relationship to discuss, but with me, I need to know. What are your thoughts about that, Dr. Julissa, the unification of the mind? What were your thoughts once you decided to write this particular part of the chapter?
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about here? The unification of the mind. Where do we need to be?
In the point and that principle that's actually defined here in page 137, number 2, unification of the mind and body of the couple during sex. What you want is to be able to not only be physical with your partner, but feel and try to almost understand what they're thinking as far as their mind during that time of intimacy. Know and almost feel that your partner is telling you with their mind, I want you to touch me here now, or maybe trace with their eyes where they want to go. It's where I want them to be able to grow so much closer that they're able to express themselves with their mind and bodies without speaking. That there be that close of a bond. And if we really take a moment to look deeply at our partner and look deeply into each other's eyes, and how I express there that when I've recommended this to patients at times, when they're looking into their partner's windows into the soul, which is what the eyes are considered, that you're looking truly deeply within a person. There's nothing to hide. Whether you have your clothing off, people feel more naked when you look at them straight into their eyes than if they had their clothes off. And so it's important for them to be able to try to have that sort of an intimate moment with no words, with no gestures, and just have it be where one mind is kind of telling the other what they desire, what they want, what they need at that moment to feel from their partner. And to do it in a manner that doesn't require words, in other words. So that's what I mean by bringing that unification between them. Yes, it becomes a bit emotional. I've had patients tell me that that's the case many times, that that's happened. Again, that yes, it may induce tears that you'll see in what I've written here, that it brings about sobbing. And then you have the other partner, if one of them or both of them bring the sobbing on and tears begin to come, then there's that comforting. They come together and they hold each other in understanding and trying to understand each other's maybe internal suffering that they were not able to express before. No words are needed at this time, just the feeling that they feel from their partner of maybe what they're enduring at that moment. And so they're able to understand better and come closer together and grow as one.
Great information as you were speaking. I was saying to myself, okay, I was totally off on that one. I was like, okay, so let me go back and say this.
Right.
Just so I can understand it. And I'm thinking, as you were speaking, I was thinking, okay, in my relationship shows,
yes,
I've had several coaches when we talked about the intimacy side of the relationship, and how well do you know your partner, or how well do you want to know your partner. We use a term of you have to get totally naked. Now, of course, Horse Nation, I'm not saying that you have to remove all clothes.
Okay.
You can actually do this.
Okay. Perfect.
Totally clothed.
Okay.
So get totally naked, basically. Meaning it's where you really begin to share your most intimate feelings about being intimate with that person. Okay. You discuss the things that you like. When you are intimate. This is a time where, if you want to show the person that you are in love with, or your partner, you can show them what pleases you, what makes you happy. Why? Is because this is the way that you can connect to one another and have that beautiful experience. And you begin to talk those things through, and you begin to show one another, then the intimacy is taking place. Yes. So is that about right as well as what you share with your clients?
That's wonderful because unification of mind and body, I do touch upon how I would love for them to express that without words or gestures. But then, of course, there comes the
Mm-hmm.
point where you may have a partner who's always been very hesitant or been very reserved about expressing verbally. I actually am treating a couple now where she was a virgin. This was his second relationship. He has children in a prior marriage. She had none, and she got married late to him. He's about 15, 16 years older than her. And, she was reserved about expressing, some of the things that she would like to open up about. And in our sessions and so on, and they're a long distance couple, so I treat them via video consults and so on, and both of them sit in on them together. And he's expressed how he wants her to be more open. She's kind of shunned some things that he's wanted to try, and now we're at the point after 2.5 months she's open to just about everything, and that he's very happy and so on. But it's not being able to feel comfortable about expressing verbally. I believe in that point too, bringing that later on as well. Sometimes people aren't able to do it too much verbally, and so sometimes I'll express, well, let's try to do it, and let's try to pick up right through gestures, and maybe you taking the person's hand and placing it where you need to. We cannot be shy about really showing our partner because they can't read our minds, and so
Mm-hmm.
right, expressing exactly what you enjoy. And I know we're going to touch upon this probably later on, but I'll mention it again here today, even though we may touch upon that in the next coming weeks as well. Not overstepping boundaries of religion and so on. And if you're not abstinent, and that's what you're either religion or spirituality does not call for you to be abstinent or celibate and so on, then self-pleasuring, I feel, is extremely important. How many women haven't I treated that, deal with vaginal atrophy because they are, haven't found the right partner yet, and it's now been a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they've not had any sex, and so that can be detrimental too. These are muscles that need to be used. You don't use it, you lose it, kind of thing. And so if one understands one's own body and self-pleasures and understands one's own body, then you can easily express to another exactly where you desire for your partner to wander, to navigate, to journey through, so that you can feel the ultimate pleasure because you want it with that person.
Love that. Love that. Tonight's rotation, we are speaking with Dr. Julissa Hernandez. Of course, we are doing our 10-week series, and this is all about the preservation of sex. Tonight's conversation is all about unification of the mind and body of the couple during sex. And we've been speaking on the unification part and how important it really is to connect with your loved one, connect with your partner during the time of intimacy, and why it is important to do so. So, Dr. Julissa, let's continue the discussion. Again, thank you so much for being here tonight. What more can you share with us in reference to what you're sharing with your couples, and what you're finding that could either be lacking in the relationship, or maybe some things that we can continue to do to make sure that we are enjoying that sexual experience with our partner or loved one?
Okay. Well, I've stated here, and again, we're talking about principle number 2. I state, without speaking, no words, no gestures, set aside silent time. Set aside the time. Sometimes we get so bogged down with work, and if it's children, if it's friends, if it's family, and many couples forget that time when they were dating, that time when they were getting to know each other, that mystery, they allow it to just dissipate, and they're not setting aside that time, that silent time where they have to keep on dating, and setting aside that time to have intimacy, to have special moments. Let's be blunt, the quickies can't go on forever. And it just cuts things down to where intimacy then goes out the window. and it just becomes just the physical part. And it's important to really grow as a couple, grow as one, so that you can build on that intimacy. And so setting aside silent time is what I should state there, to take that time to just be with each other, just caress each other, just stare into each other's eyes, and begin in that way. And then if it comes down to the ending of the intercourse, great, of having that intimacy at the end and then coming to orgasm together, wonderful. But begin that slow process. Set aside time to do that on a frequent basis, at least once a week, if not twice a week. But that time must be set aside. And it's not that it has to be set, and be mechanical and so on, but just make it yours. Make it still mysterious and unique each time for both of you. But the first step is understanding that it's so important to set aside the time for the two of you to work on that intimacy aspect and grow together.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Great information that you are sharing with us tonight, Dr. Julissa, in reference to unification of the mind and body of couples during sex. Of course, Source Nation, again, we are putting together a 10-week series that we have developed through Dr. Julissa's new book, which is The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility. And, of course, we're going to not only speak of fertility, but the side of reproduction, making sure that your mind, your body, and soul are healthy enough to adventure in the area of sex. So as we are wrapping up tonight's conversation, Dr. Julissa, of course, I always like to leave either with some encouraging words or maybe some tips and advice. If you wish to share that with the Source Nation family, I would love for you to do so at this time.
Absolutely. Once again, we're referring to pages 136 to 141 in my new book, The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility. And know that, and this hopefully is not news, but there's so much more to just sex and the physical aspect of it. It can be so much more when we look at, for example, tantric sex and so on. It can be so much more when you truly bring intimacy and emotions into that aspect of your lives as a couple. So consider that, bring that together into what you need in the bedroom so that you can truly feel and grow into different levels of ecstasy when you bring that into your room. And so I pray that all that information is continuing to help all of you out, and that you open up your minds to trying different things in that aspect and growing closer in intimacy together.
Love it. Dr. Julissa, again, thank you so much for coming in tonight and giving us some great information in reference to principle number 2, which is unification of the mind, body of the couple during sex. If you will, please share with Source Nation and everyone listening, how can we get more information about you and continue to support you in your efforts?
Thank you, Kathy. Well, you can all find my information at drjulissa.com. That's drjulissa.com. You can call my offices 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and speak to live receptionists if you have health concerns. If you want to place appointments with me, whether it be video consults or in office, I'm at your service. And you can all find my book in English and Spanish at Amazon is the easiest link to find them at. And it's also on barnesandnoble.com, The Naturopathic Approach to Fertility. And I'm excited about principle number 3 next week, Kathy. I love talking about these taboo topics, girl to girl, live with everyone.
I love it, and I cannot wait until next week where we share principle number 3. So, Source Nation, that means that you have to tune in because we have 10 weeks of great information that we want to share with you in reference to prescriptions of life preservation. And, of course, tonight's topic was all about unification of the mind and body of couples during sex. So, Dr. Julissa, again, thank you so much for being here. We look forward to having you back in the studio again with us next week to talk on principle 3. We won't share with them what that that is. That means that they have to come back to listen.
Okay.
And get more information. So, again, thank you, Dr. Julissa, and we look forward to having you back here again next week.
I do as well. Good night, everyone. Talk to you soon, my sweet friend. Bye-bye now.
Good night. Well,